Hi everyone, I'm Alex from Primetime Miniatures. Since I'm a big fan of the Space Marine Dark Angels and my arm is still half grey, I'd like to show you how I paint them. Step by step, I will explain what I've learned the last few months to paint my Deathwing quickly but above the tabletop standards. We prime our Terminator black. As always, the brand doesn't really matter. This time, however, we will spray a brown layer on the top of the black layer. For this, I use Rhinox hide from Games Workshop. I cover the model around 80% and leave only the deepest areas black. Our model will be very bright and I don't want the difference too big. Next we spray the model Senator with the color Morghast Bone from Games Workshop. This simulates the light and immediately gives the model shadows. Depending on your taste, you can spray the model more or less with the color. Since we will shade the model later with oil paints, we want to strengthen the highlight first. To do this, I mix Morghast Bone with white. A good mix is around 1:1. Make sure that you only spray the areas with the airbrush that should stand out the most, otherwise you will lose a lot of depth. Now we come to the part where we save a lot of time and where the magic happens. First, we mix a 70-30 mix of brown and black oil paint. To this, we mix white spirit until we get a contrast-like mixture. If the mixture is a bit too thick for you, then you can always mix a little bit more white spirit. Then we paint the model until it's completely covered with it and let the model dry for around 30 to 60 minutes. Now we can remove the oil paints. For this I use makeup pans that I bought from Amazon. First, I roughly clean off the first layer. With a second pan I can clean the armor more or less depending on my taste. I generally like it when the armor is a bit cleaner. If the colors don't come off anymore, then you can always use some white spirit. That is also the advantage over shade paints. Oil paints can always be removed with white spirit. Now we paint the Imperialis. For this I use a mix of 30-30 Angel's Green from Vallejo and black. It is important that the first layer is a little bit darker. For the first highlight I paint pure Angel's Green. Don't cover the whole Imperialis so that you can still see the previous color. For the second highlight I mix in some toxic yellow from Vallejo and again only paint the most sideways areas. The more yellow you add, the more you can enhance this effect. Now we paint the Dark Angel's crest on the shoulder. First we paint it completely black. The first color we use is Corn Red from Games Workshop. Make sure that you don't paint the whole area so that the black is still a little visible. The first highlight I use is Mephisto Red. Here, like with the Imperialis, we don't paint the whole area. The last highlight I use is White Rider Red. Here I only highlight the areas that should stand out the most. Now we paint the Energy Fist. For this I want to paint a red stripe freehand. First I sketch it out with Corn Red from Games Workshop. Here you can slowly paint it inside out. This way you can reduce a mistake that is difficult to correct. But then I spiced up the area with Mephisto Red. Now I place 2 decals with macroset on the fist. For this I choose 2 skulls. Now we paint the rockets on the shoulder. I use corn red as the base color. Then we use the same technique as before and paint the first highlight with Mephiston red. For the last highlight I use White Rider red and only paint the tip. Now we paint the metallic parts such as the left shoulder. For this I use dark aluminium from Vallejo, but you can also use lead belcher from Games Workshop, it makes no difference. Now we paint the weapon red. I use corn red as the base color and highlight it with Mephiston red. After the paints are dry, we can now mattify the decals with matte varnish. I use AK Interactive Ultra Matte for this process. Then I shade all the metallic parts with non-oil and that's it. We now come to the most important part and also the most time consuming part. Here we highlight all the corners and reinforce the parts that should stand out the most. First I mix some Morghast bone with white. An 80-20 mix is enough here. This way I make sure that I paint most of the corners and the areas. Then mix a little more white and reinforce the parts that should be more dominant. You can proceed according to the rule of light. What is closer to the light will also reflect more. I took more time with the helmet. This part is the focus and will receive the most attention later. Now we paint the battle damage. Here I stipple white on all edges to simulate that the armor has already been used. You can also dab the mixture onto the decals. This will make it look as if the paint has been scratched off a little bit. Now we paint all lenses. First I always prime the lenses black, and after that I paint the inside the lens with corn red, so that the black is still slightly visible on the outside. Now add the highlight on the inside with White Rider red. The corn red should be still visible here. As a last step I take a brush with the best tip and make a small white dot on the outside of the lens. That's it. That's currently my method of painting my death wings. It took me about 1 to 2 hours per Terminator and I painted 4 of them in this step. I hope you liked it and as always I look forward to your comments. For your information, the new Sanguinary Guard went up for pre-order on Sunday. But I will wait for the models because I want to convert them with bits. Creatite Studios is currently running a mega Kickstarter with very crazy stuff. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye!